You're with Julian on the Brown Note, and Donald Trump and the largest attack of freedom of speech in American history by far. It's been incredible. So Trump and his acolytes rode into town claiming to be free speech absolutists, and we all know that right-wing totalitarians are not exactly free speech absolutists, and people like Elon Musk, who was his right-hand man, saying that, I've bought Twitter to restore freedom of speech, despite multiple examples of him kowtowing to totalitarian governments around the world in removing speech from Twitter. So what they really meant is they wanted to be mean to gays, blacks and trans people and get away with it. And actually your free speech doesn't count, which is the exact opposite of what they said they were going to do. But then was a given. Absolutely. But the level of attacks on freedom of speech in America is unprecedented in their entire history. So they started with books. So they started banning books. The whole MAGA movement started banning books that children might read that would promote the gay agenda or the trans agenda or so on. And also anything that was pretty much feminist as well. And then they went after government websites. So we saw things, where people in the military that were gay were having their, heroism removed. And again, trans gays, women and so on. Anything mentioning diversity, anything mentioning gender being removed from government websites. Then government agencies being asked to pledge allegiance to Trump and being attacked if they'd free speeched anything that was the antithesis of supporting the Trump regime. No DEI rhetoric and so on. They went after the FBI, pledging allegiance to Trump, anyone that had said anything that was mean. It sounds a lot like a totalitarian dictatorship from the Eastern Europe era of the 70s and 80s. They went after the academics. Any academics guess who did all this? Guess who went after these people? Have a guess. Have a look back through history at a prominent Western leader that did similar things. Academics mustn't have inclusive language in what they're promoting. They must pledge allegiance in writing. Any free thought is actually pulled. Even overseas academics, even in Australia, they were receiving letters saying that they had to say that they weren't promoting anything that could be construed as DEI or inclusive, and that they were on board with the Trump agenda. What freedom of speech that is, actually telling other countries what their academics can think. And then we came into the whole entering the United States thing. You've got to now open up all of your social media accounts for the people vetting you to enter the United States. There's no way on God's green earth I would go near the United States. Can you imagine the amount of stuff I've said? And so we've got multiple stories of people being turned back at airports because they said something mean about Trump. Notice it's no longer about DEI or gays or trans, it's about Trump. Say mean things about Trump and we will kick you out of our country. Not only if you're a tourist visiting. We had an Aussie guy recently that lives in California with his partner for years. His business is in California. He returned home to Australia to scatter his dead sister's ashes for 2 days and then tried to return to where he's lived for years and where his business is and where his partner is. And he was kicked out of the country with nothing but a laptop bag for 5 years minimum, with no comeback possible. And with the ICE agents or whoever was the immigration agents saying we're back. Who's going to join ICE at the moment? Not the best, I don't think. And then on top of, the fact that they've got the World Cup next year and the Olympics. How are they going to deal with all these people from multiple nations around the world arriving in America at the moment? If you said anything mean on social media, who the hell gave the American government the right to search through my social media? And then you've got these free speech absolutists defending them. Well, if you haven't done anything wrong. It isn't wrong to criticize a government. That's freedom of speech in a free country. And then they went after universities, cutting funding from universities that weren't slavishly in line with what they wanted, with DEI hires, and Israel, the two subjects you can't criticise are Trump and Israel. And then they went after the teachers and then the students, trying to deport anyone that was critical of Israel. And then they went after the protesters who were critical of Israel, locking up dissidents for attacking Israel. Even in the height of the Vietnam War, nothing like this ever happened to free speech in America. Even people that are residents in America being jailed illegally, when you've got control of the courts like Trump has, jailing people illegally, deporting them to wherever you want is fine. Even talking about Elon Musk being deported now for daring to... He's not said anything mean about Israel. He said something mean about Jewish people, but he's not said anything mean about Israel. But he's starting to say mean things about Elon Musk. Elon, if you're out there, we all know that anyone that goes near the Epstein issue will have a black van outside their house and probably disappear. You're just crazy enough to do it. Go and get yourself some ketamine or whatever it is you're on these days, and let's see what you know about the Epstein files. And attacking news networks and threatening journalists with jail for saying normal things. And taking bribes from news, like Paramount just paid him a bribe because Paramount, I think CBS paid him a bribe because they want mergers to go through. So they're paying him off in broad daylight. This is 1984 level stuff. This is, I would imagine Kim Jong in North Korea is amazed by what's going on with Trump. This is no free Western nation. First they came for the DEI, then they came for the trans, then they came for the gays, then they came for the women, then they came for the students, and then they came for the journalists, and then they came for you.